3,
2.
Good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Santa Boot First podcast. The season is right around the corner, which means it's fantasy football time. Tonight, we're going to be talking a little Eagles training camp, and then we're going to be going heavy fantasy. We got a special guest coming on with us in a bit, Marcas Grant from the NFL Network. Hang around, interact, put your fantasy questions out there. We'll try to get them to Marcus. You are listening to the Santa Boot First podcast.
This is for Smitty, y'all. Happy birthday, bro.
H-I-L-A period. P-A
There you go. You happy? You got a big smile.
Believe they fearing it.
The birthday boy gets his song. The boo 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 is not going away, brother. I'm just telling you right now.
Oh no,
It's one of the best.
Young LA. You want the boo boo?
I could care less.
I put out a feeler
What do you
on social media
I
for
think
a
my
DJ.
what's up should be the intro.
What's up?
Yeah, my famous.
Oh, you're famous. What's up? All right.
Pass to James. He said pass it to James, not read it.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Santa Boot First podcast. Coming to you live from beautiful downtown Willow Grove, the lovely Crack Belt Production Studios. This is one of your co-hosts for the evening, Jim Marcus. To my left, I got the elder statesman, Donald Kennedy Martin.
What's going on?
Good evening. To his left, the belated birthday boy, the AP, the ruthless one, Ryan Smitty. What's going on, Smitty?
Yo, what's up?
To his left, we got the sensei, Dojo.
There it is.
There we go.
About
Don,
time.
DJ. What's going on, DJ?
What's up?
To his left, Andrew, the youngest of the Martins, but certainly not the lowest of the Martins.
That was a good save.
Okay.
What's going on, Andrew?
So would that be
What's up?
Marianne or Batman?
So is he,
No,
is he the third string quarterback of the
Andrew?
Martins?
No. Oh, Andrew's coming in slinging. He's the top gun.
So he's gone. He's Gardner.
Oh, going there already? From the Hertz man?
Digging that hole.
Behind the
earlier,
glass, we got the money man, Nate Moss. What's going on, Moss? What's going on, Nate?
Yep.
Sorry, we got some text going around. All right, Marcus Grant, our guy. He said he could come on a little earlier. We want to bring him in earlier, but you want to stick to our time. Let's stick to our time. For
Yeah,
this.
stick
Mine-
to the time.
Somebody respond to him and say,
I got it.
all right, got it. Thank you. Before we get started, our sponsors, InsurePhilly.com. Get up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes. Give the MPM agency a call. Our guy, Matt Maloney, will hook you up with your insurance needs. Pops McCann's fine whiskeys, keeping us hydrated and lively.
Emphasis on lively.
Jason Fogg, proprietor. If you need any pops, reach out to Jason. Find him on social media, Facebook, website, and he will get you some of his fine libations. And Mama Mia's, we switched it up tonight. We went some sandwiches and a pie. You still got to get a pie. Had a couple cheesesteaks, chicken parm, sausage, peppers, and onions. Good stuff. I saw the owner, Brendan, was in there tonight. Said hi to Brendan. He's excited. He's a fantasy guy. Told him we're going to have a special guest on tonight, so hopefully he logs in. So let's get into it. First, we're going to cover some Eagles training camps and preseason stuff. Marcus is going to be on after the break. So what did we see this week? We saw A.J. Brown light some people up. We saw a nice Devontae Smith moss somebody. We heard Hurts had one of his worst practices and then one of his best practices. It's training camp, right?
Yep.
It's nice that they're not practicing against each other. They're down there. Are they down in Miami? Where are they at?
In Miami.
Because with the Browns, they weren't at the Browns camp. They were somewhere like a neutral site, but
They
they
were
weren't.
practicing in Cleveland.
But it wasn't their normal site, though. I thought.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
The joint practices.
Yeah, it was.
For the
Like
Birds.
Cleveland's training camp.
Was it I thought it was a different site.
It looked like it.
Okay,
I thought it was.
I might be wrong then.
Probably.
I mean, there's not much going on in Cleveland, so maybe. I don't know.
Could have been somebody's backyard.
Yeah, it could have been Could have been in the woods.
Could have been the parking lot.
Could have been Penny
Yeah.
Pack Creek for all I know.
right near,
Cleveland High
right
School.
near the masseuses.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Anybody see the press conference with Jacoby Brissett?
That was really good by him.
They asked him, is it hard not to be
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson, or not hard to not try to be Deshaun when
On
you're
the
out there?
field, yeah.
He said it's not hard at all.
Nice. I like it. Good for you, Jacoby.
So I didn't catch much of the Browns preseason game. I was on the road, but I was listening to it. Sound like the running game is going to be a question for this team, right? Without Miles, and it looks like they ran well. Merrill was singing the praises of Huntley.
Schwarbaum.
Sure,
1-0.
1-0.
Yeah.
Merrill was singing the praises of Huntley on the broadcast. Do we have what are we doing here? And you keep hearing that the Eagles are looking at running backs. I'm fine if they don't make a move.
I honestly don't think that there's much wrong with Sanders. I just think they're not playing him.
Well,
He's always got
it's
an
a health
injury.
question with him.
He's always got
Right, but
something.
I'm saying they're not. They did this last year. If you remember, he sat out of all training.
Yeah.
camp. Some would say,
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be an issue
no.
in the backfield. I mean, I knew that was one of my concerns that I talked about was this backfield where they're going to be, for the season. And
I don't want to.
I mean, as long as they got the O line that is in front of them,
Yeah,
you can
I
stick almost anybody back.
I don't
there.
want to say you could put anybody back there and they'll be good because the offensive line is that good, but you could almost put anybody back there. The offensive line is that good, and they're opening up holes and running lanes.
I still wouldn't be shocked about Kareem Hunt. He really wants out of Cleveland. You saw Sirianni was.
Yeah, everyone
really,
was talking it up.
smoozing him. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if financially it works, you don't have to give him a ton of money. You don't have to give up a ton of draft capital. Even if him and Sanders for a year together, that's a pretty damn good 1-2 punch.
That's
and maybe I phrased it wrong. Meaning it's a good problem that we have.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
It looks like Gainwell. Boston Scott does what he does.
Did you
He's
notice
nice.
what they said about Gainwell? The one thing that he's not doing well in practice is catching the ball out of the backfield. And
which
that's
is what he
that's
was.
what
That's what he's good at.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a little concerning. But like you said, I mean, first of all, the Cleveland game, what stood out to me is the backup center. We at first when everybody's like, why are they draft Jurgens? That dude's gonna take over for Kelsey and probably not miss a beat.
and not skip a beat.
I hate to
Absolutely.
say that because Kelsey is so good, but I read an article today. They were talking about Stoutland, and they were like, honestly, the Eagles' second team offensive line is better than half of the first teams in the NFL. And
That's what I was telling them.
We were walking the dog last night, the three of us, and we were talking about that, and that's exactly what we said.
Jeff Stoutland's amazing.
DJ said that the backups could probably start for a lot of teams in the NFL, and Jeff Stoutland is a fantastic coach, and we all agreed that not that we want to see Kelsey gone anytime soon.
No,
because
not
he's
at
such
all.
a great team player and a great character to have on the team, a great leader to have on the team. But when he does decide to hang him up, I think we're not going to skip a beat.
No,
with
I mean,
Jurgens.
exactly.
This dude is
is
like a
young Kelsey.
a young Kelsey, a 2.0.
Right.
He's still a little, green bean, a little green, but I think at the end of next year, not this year, but the end of next year, he's going to be right
and
there.
You got Landon Dickerson too.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to be your
gonna
guard,
no,
though.
but I'm saying, I'm talking about what they've done with this line.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's
and
it's not a rebuild.
Whatever they're
it's a
paying
retool.
Stoutland, they need to double it.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I know Jim's not going to like to hear it, but you got to give Howie his credit. He's built a lot of this line from the draft, and he's done a hell of a job scouting in that department.
Yeah, with input from other guys.
Exactly, I know, but I'm just saying you got to give credit where credit's
Also,
due.
I think some free agent signings too, like Kazir White, man. I think he'll be one of those guys that gets a mid-year long-term extension from the Eagles. I think that's how good he's going.
Well, if
to
he's
be.
producing like he's been,
I mean, he looks like a playmaker. Bradbury's going to be good. I just don't think probably long-term they can afford him, which is fine. Like I told you, the only problem I have right now is the safety position.
Yeah,
Anthony Harris looks another step slower. And I understand, the pass rush, like we talked about before.
If you have a good front seven.
But still, man, you need somebody that can cover over the top. So my prediction, like I said last week, is, and Adam Kaplan said it, they're going to make a move. Maybe it's not Bates from Cleveland or Cincinnati. They're going to make a move for a safety because they need to.
Well, they're trying Tart.
Yeah.
But he's not much of a coverage guy. He's more of your
he's
come down and lay a boom on a guy.
Yeah.
Whoa. Is that our buzzer beater?
I guess it was. That was a foul on you.
Yeah, right. 2 shots
Bad commentary
on the floor.
Charging.
Just to go back on Jurgens real quick, I think that he might even start this year as a guard.
I was thinking that too.
Maybe if Sayamalu's struggling, or obviously if there's an injury, he's the first guy up. But if Sayamalu's struggling, I think Jurgens might be your go-to to place as a guard.
They also have
Opeta. They have Driscoll. They have Opeta. They have Driscoll. Driscoll's probably actually.
Chart right here.
Driscoll's probably going to be the first one. as a guard.
Yeah, but like you said, if he,
I mean,
keeps going-
Jurgens is just so good to keep on the bench. Like, you
And they
know,
got this guy Jack Anderson. Was he a free agent signing at the end of this year? Jack Anderson.
I think he's been here before,
undrafted
hasn't
free
he?
agent.
Yeah,
I feel like I've heard that name before.
he's what?
Josh Sills. He's a guard. I'm just looking at the guard. So I went
They're
through
not
like
gonna
I
make
have
the team.
and that's what I wanted to get into. Like we talked about the running back position. There's a lot of running backs there. I think Huntley. It's going to be tough to cut this kid the way he's.
I think it's going to be Huntley, Scott, Sanders, and Gainwell. They're going to carry forward.
Yep. So Kennedy Brooks.
No.
See you later.
Wilson.
Has he done anything?
No.
The kid from so he might be practice squad material.
The wide receiver position is going to be interesting.
Well, it
Well,
depends
see
what they do with
there.
Rager.
You have 4 locks right now, right? You got Brown's a lock,
Devontae Smith,
Devontae
Eric
Smith,
Pascal, Zach Pascal, excuse
Zach
me.
Pascal, and Watkins.
Yeah.
You think Pascal's a lot?
Pascal looks good.
He does
dude.
look good, but we were talking about him the other
I
week,
said
like,
when they originally
when they
signed him,
brought
I
him
think
in,
he was just a camp body,
He's-
but he's looked good.
He's going to make the team 100%.
I think he's gonna make the team.
100%. But
So, but it depends what they do with Rager, though. If you trade Rager, then that opens up a spot. Unless you're getting,
I think this is the last year Rager definitely makes the team. Next year is
it's
a
still a
is a-
lot of
Why-
money,
unless
dude.
he makes
why
progress
definitely though? If he's
next
not
year-
good, he's not good. Get rid of him.
because
Like
of all the reasons.
You're,
money
you
and draft pick.
all right. I understand that, but your team is good enough to make it
Yeah, but it's
to make noise
it's a
right
I
now.
cap
hear you.
hit. It's
Why
a-
I
waste
hear
the
you.
roster spot on a guy that's not going to see the
money
field?
and draft
It's a
pick.
cap hit. It's a bad cap
Yes,
hit because
yes.
it's a first round pick. I agree
Yes.
with you. Is
Yeah.
he should
I agree with you too. He should have been gone last year, but
I think they're
this
really
is the
trying to
last year
trade
he's
him.
guaranteed to
I
make
mean,
the
you
team.
just saw what they got for a lawn chair. I mean, Rager's got a little bit more talent than him.
I think they're going to try.
Maybe they can get something better.
Rager and a pick to get a safety is my guess. Who that safety is, I still
It's not going to be good. It's not going to be Jesse Bates or anybody good.
Do you think
I
any
don't know,
of
man.
these other punt returners though? Who makes the team then?
Me and
Brayton
Smitty were just
McCovey,
talking about that in the
Is
lobby.
it Dean Allen,
area.
Devin
I
Allen?
think it's Huntley. I wish Allen would. But
We,
I don't think he makes
I
it.
thought, why can't you just use Allen as your punt and kick returner with all that speed?
Yeah, I would, but I don't think he makes the team.
But you know,
he's
it's
gonna be
yeah.
practice
Do you
squad.
want to take up a roster spot just for a guy that's going to
Yeah.
return punts?
I do.
Did you see what he did to the? Like, I mean, I know it was.
look what the Chicago Bears did with Devin Hester.
Yeah, but Devin Hester
All right.
was
Dude, Devin.
he was on
Devin
another
Hester,
level.
Devin Allen, Devins. You know,
No,
maybe it's in the
Devin
name.
Hester was
like-
on another
You're
level,
also-
and he returned
you're
kicks.
also
I know,
talking
so can
about
Allen.
One of the fastest players in the world, and you saw that he can catch the ball
Yeah.
too.
So why not put him back for some kicks? Make the kick
I'd be
return.
okay with him making the team.
Make
I
the
don't
kick
think
return
he's-
game exciting again.
is
Yeah,
kinda
but
like-
this is gonna-
he's
this is
not
gonna-
I would
gonna
love for
make
that
it.
to happen.
He's not going to make it, but the problem is, I hope they can stop him on the practice squad. But if he keeps
He's-
doing, somebody's going to pick him up because they're going to see potential.
Now, hold
in him.
on. I actually got a question. So I'm assuming as a professional athlete, aside from the NFL, he's sponsored because he's an Olympian and all that, right?
Yeah, by Nike.
Is there in his contract, in his sponsorships, in his contracts, like if he's hurt in the NFL, they're not obligated to pay him because he can't compete
I
now
don't
in
think so.
races? Is that
I-
like
I
a?
probably
He's
doubt it.
done. They said after this, he's
He's not
he
running
was fully
anymore.
committed to football. I thought
He
after
just
this.
ran like and
No,
got a
that
medal,
was,
didn't
that
he?
was his last one where he got disqualified. That's from what I heard. But
Wow,
I mean, who knows if he doesn't make?
he's
the
not that
Eagles.
old. He can compete again in the Olympics.
I
can't
just
he?
think that
How does that work though for the Olympics now? I know they made changes for some of the other sports where you could be a professional and go back and play. Is it the same
no,
for?
he can still compete. But my thing is, he said
Sure.
he's fully focused on football. The problem is that, like I said, it's hard to keep a roster spot because you're such a good team. But like, I don't also want to see him flourish somewhere else when the Eagles went after him.
It's good
tough.
problems that they have
And
because
it's-
it's at key positions.
Right.
You know, it's not like they're got 6 tight ends.
I just don't
So
understand
you
why
have-
he hasn't been a punter kick returner. I want to see what he can do. Like, Huntley's probably going to be your punt returner, right?
If the roster spot
don't
is
know.
Greg Ward or
Devin Allen.
Allen.
I'm doing Allen.
I think I'm gonna keep Greg
I'm even
Ward.
thinking about taking Devin Allen over this Kane kid. I'm not saying this kid
Deion
Kane is
Kane.
not
Kane.
good, but how many stories have we heard of these guys that are like I
Yeah.
can't
Who was the
think-
dude? Who
Bryce
was the
Drake.
dude?
This
Paul
dude from-
Paul Turner.
Yeah, but
Paul
who's
Turner,
the other
Wasn't he a
guy?
big one?
How about Marcus
Bryce Drake.
Hilliard? Remember the guy with the
Yeah,
dreads from
was it
Cincinnati?
last year, 2 years ago?
But like those guys are a dime a dozen. This kid Devin Allen, you don't teach speed, and
yeah,
you
as long as
don't-
they can catch, which it looks like he can.
Yeah,
right.
But I don't catching a pass and catching.
kicks are
Kick off
different.
and
I'm
They're
not
punts are
different.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about you could use him in a variety of ways. Bubble screen, like I'm not saying he's like a star, But I think he has more value than somebody like Deion Kane because, again, like these wide receivers that we see in preseason, we fall in love with them every year, and then they come to play week 1 and they can't do anything.
A guy like Kane can get to the practice. I mean, that's what Greg
Now,
Wood did for
Deion
2 years,
Kane
right? He'll get to the
probably
practice squad and
He
stay
probably
there.
gets picked up, but honestly,
Zeke?
you're so deep now at this position. You got Watkins still under contract for 2 years. You have AJ Brown, and you have freaking Devontae Smith. So
It's another good problem to have.
right.
I was just going to say it's a great problem to have.
But it begs the question, though,
Pascal.
where do they want to? Usually they go heavy on the lines,
Right.
right? You want the depth at the lines.
Yeah.
But do
Mhm.
they look at some of these players and say, all right, well, maybe we don't. Maybe we keep an extra wide receiver that we wouldn't have kept last year.
Yeah,
They got a lot of tight
I don't
ends,
know.
too.
You can't go light on either.
Well,
line
the
because
problem
injuries pile up
the-
sometimes.
the thing with the tight end position, they're battling for the backup spot. There's nobody really battling. I mean, I think Jack Stoll is your backup tight end.
and he looks pretty decent.
I haven't really seen enough of him, but
He's gotta
he's
stay
been on the team before. He's been around, so he understands what they're trying to do in that locker room.
How's that rookie
and
doing
the
from
team.
Oklahoma? Has he done anything, or is he still
I
hurt?
don't know.
Grant,
I haven't.
yeah,
Cal-
I haven't heard his
Cal
name.
Terry.
Was he
Well, he was hurt, but he just came back. But I don't think he's
from
doing.
Oklahoma?
I thought it was
I thought he was, like,
Stanford.
No, he played with Hurts.
It was Stanford. Grant Caltera.
Oh, he transferred.
Oklahoma.
He transferred.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
he
went
played
to
with
Ju-
Hurts.
Okay.
Well, he had a bunch of concussions in college,
Yeah,
so that was an issue.
I mean, I don't know.
That's the thing. The tight end position, it's really not much. It's just guys
You have
battling
like
for a
loads
backup
of
spot.
talent that you're going to cut players that are going to get picked up immediately. The Eagles are that deep,
Yeah, probably.
I agree.
and that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, that's a situation, a
We'll
problem
we'll
that
just-
you love as a GM coach.
And not only that, when you have talent like that's when before you cut somebody, you put feelers around the league and you try to get
Try to trade them, yeah.
And that's-
or veteran safety like he's going to get cut. All right, let's make a deal. Like
And-
somebody's going to get
One-
cut.
yeah.
You always every year
preseason
somebody
ends
that's like, oh,
This
why'd you
week.
get
This
cut?
week's the last
Is
week.
there a Monday night game?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't look at the schedule, but I know this is the
When's
last
final
week.
cutdown day? Wednesday,
Next
Thursday?
week,
next week.
Yeah, but do we
because
know
week
when?
1 is the following week.
Yeah.
So you think Hurts plays against Miami?
No.
He shouldn't.
No,
All right.
No starter should
and
fly.
they may not play the
So
game.
Yeah, it's
really,
no starter should
knock
play.
on wood, this team's going fully healthy into the season. Other than Kelsey, which really wasn't an injury, it was a clean out.
And
of
Miles.
surgery.
Miles isn't healthy yet.
Dude,
He hasn't played. He hasn't
He's-
even practiced.
I think that they're just holding him out.
Are you serious?
They
Yes,
did-
I
they
do. They
did.
did. If you look at the history, go back to
Honestly, though,
last year.
Smitty, if anybody needs to work, it's Miles
But
Sanders.
last year they held him out too. Go look back and look. He didn't play.
And he still got hurt.
Yeah,
right. I'm not saying that, but I'm thinking he's going to be
And
ready.
he didn't
week
score a
one.
touchdown.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
because he fumbles
He'll
in
be
the red
ready
zone.
week 1, 100%. I don't think you need to worry about that.
I'm worried about that.
I'm a little worried about Sanders, but I'm not worried about the
Are you
backfield.
worried about him being healthy week 1?
Yeah, because you want your guys
I
to be
am.
fully
Go
healthy.
back and look at last year. This is the same thing. Oh, he had a nagging injury. He was ready.
Those hamstrings, they
Is he
linger.
Doing anything on the sidelines during camp? Is he?
I don't
Working
know.
it out?
You got your feelers down there.
That was
doing AB.
before. He was. They
Get your cameras out.
That was the sources.
your-
Yes,
get
John
your-
Clark.
Get your peephole cameras.
Johnny Airport.
How about the
sucks.
defensive side of the ball? We all a minute
Dude.
ago we all said we know we need a safety. I think that the
Linebackers,
lines are
TJ
gonna be-
Edwards is another one that's going to be a stud. Him and Kazir White are like, which is
Edwards has been here for a few years
This-
now.
This
Though.
I
was
like him.
this was the other part of our
he's
conversation last
another
night.
draft pick by Howard.
Who's going to be the fourth
Sorry,
linebacker?
Right now, it's Edwards,
Dean.
Kazir White, N'Kobe Dean, and
And
Hassan
so-
Reddick.
No, well, yeah, but Reddick's on.
Dean's not ready to start though.
He's not starting.
No,
but he's going
he's
to be
at
your
that
fourth
fourth.
linebacker.
They play a 3-4.
Sean Bradley.
It's
Yeah,
but it's a.
Oh,
It's
what's his
weird,
name?
like-
Davion Taylor.
I don't know if he's making it.
Yes, he is. Him and Sean Bradley. You don't think they both?
I don't think
make
Sean Bradley makes
it?
it
Sean Bradley's making it
as
for
a special
teams,
teamers. Yeah.
You don't think Davion Taylor makes it? That's a
Where's he
waste.
play? Where's he
Oh, no,
fit?
that's a waste of a
He's
third
sitting
round.
up-
pick.
I like him.
Yeah,
I
but
like
he's
I
in his
liked him.
fourth year at
Yeah,
this point,
and
right?
he's what's third year?
Is
But he hasn't really
sure?
seen
Didn't
the
he get-
field.
Didn't he lose a year?
Yeah, he got hurt and he lost a one half of a season, but it's his third year.
It's his third year.
We drafted him to Super the year after the Super. No,
I think
2
this
years
is his
after.
fourth-
2 years after the Super Bowl.
Mm.
2020
Yeah.
or 2019, I think it was.
But anyway, these are good problems to have. You got depth
They
in
are.
a lot of positions. I think Sean Bradley makes it just for special teams.
He is a good special
TJ
teamer.
Edwards makes it. N'Kobe Dean, obviously, Kazir Boy. I don't know about. I mean, like, see, they're using Reddick both ways, so it's hard to tell. Like,
He's listed as a linebacker.
I understand that he's listed at it, but like, if you notice, what they've been using him a lot to rush pass.
He's just that good. He's just athletic.
Is there any? Am I like wrong when I step out and say this? That like, I really like N'Kobe Dean, but like, I haven't seen anything.
He's not there
wows
yet.
me.
Yeah,
Right.
he's not there yet.
So like, is there? So there's two things I'm thinking about. Is it just he needs to get up to NFL speed, or is there some potential like that injury that was lingering?
The
Is there
injury's
some?
lingering?
Is he not fully healthy? He didn't look. He looked faster the first preseason game against Cleveland. I thought he looked a little lost.
yeah,
I didn't see that. game,
it
but
seems like it almost is like he's trying to catch up with the game.
And he's small, but I mean, obviously, you know,
I'm still
I'd
not.
like to pick.
I mean, it's preseason in his
Right,
rookie year.
Exactly.
You know,
it's hard to tell.
It's too hard to
preseason.
judge, but
Right.
I mean, yeah, you can tell probably, I guess, by the eye test that he's not really fully ready yet. But given enough reps and enough film sessions, you know, maybe he steps in and he's fine.
I don't think Jordan Davis played against Cleveland either.
Nah, he
so
didn't.
that tells you how the. Oh, we
I
already
mean,
know.
I thought he was.
No,
He played one
Yeah,
series.
he played one
No,
series.
he played more than one series against.
I only
Cleveland.
thought I saw him
Yeah, I
once.
don't think he played.
He
a lot,
played. He's a one-trick guy. He can go forward. That's it. That's why when people were comparing him, like, oh, he's gonna, replace Cox. It's like, no, he's not. He's not even. He's not the same player. He's not
Cox
even close.
isn't really.
but Cox hasn't done anything.
He isn't really ranged very well.
Yeah.
He's the best defense tackle that ever put on the Eagles uniform.
Oh,
You had to go there, Nate.
Dude.
Nate, you
Are you
had
serious?
to go there.
Jerome Brown.
Yeah, Jerome Brown.
He wasn't alive enough. He wasn't alive enough. I'm
Dude,
sorry,
he
but
was
that's
a-
the truth.
Clyde
No,
was Clyde
no,
a defensive?
Clyde was an
No.
end.
No, none of those guys were ever talked about as being the best
Didn't
defensive
Chuck
tackle in the league.
Bednarik
Come
both
on, man.
sides?
Over Jerome Brown?
Yes, Brown had what, 2 years?
No, he was on the. Yeah, I think he had 5 years.
But when was he
Nah.
good?
5.
He wasn't good all
He was-
five.
Oh, well,
He had 2 good years.
He had 2 good years.
Yeah,
And then
because he ended up dying.
Cox had a
Like,
whole
wha- is
decade.
that Fletcher Cox's fault?
No, but it's not Jerome
I
Brown's
also,
fault
so
either.
here's the thing. Like people keep saying that about Jordan Davis that he's like this one trick pony.
I've seen him go sideline to
I've seen
sideline.
him do both. Like that's like the like.
He's
They-
got one move.
Well,
It works.
Against what? What have you seen him do? What
he
do you-
gets in the backfield and disrupts
What,
run plays.
what have you seen Jordan? I'm not knocking him. I hope the kid is good. But what have you seen Jordan Davis do?
disrupt run plays? What he was
Stop.
drafted to do.
And blow up
Don't
offensive
don't
lines.
get don't get enamored because he's 6'6" and 350.
I'm not. I've
Don't
seen
let the hype fool
the
you.
eye test. The dude
Oh,
can't be
yeah.
blocked one on one.
Right. Did you watch him last year in college?
Yeah, but we're not in college.
He didn't. He
That-
can't
that's
get.
true. We're not in
He
college.
can't
we're
get.
not in college.
He can't get
This is
blocked.
grown men.
He can't get blocked one
Grown
on
men
one.
that he bulldozed over. He did
Who?
it.
Who did he
did
bulldoze
the
over?
first preseason
He
game.
couldn't get blocked one on one.
Right, yeah, he didn't get blocked one on one. I was at the game.
They
I saw
quadruple.
it.
They
Yeah.
quadruple teamed.
There
him.
was 3 guys going through him, and he went through all 3 in the first preseason game. And that was the first team offensive line that was out there, the Jets. Obviously, it's the Jets.
I
but
haven't
still.
seen anything from Jordan Davis. I really haven't.
Dude,
I wouldn't go
I've
that
seen,
far.
I've
That's
seen the quotes that
crazy.
people think he's going to be the next big disruptor. I don't know if he's Aaron Donald level, but
what do you think?
He's
I-
not
I
Aaron.
think he's gonna
Nobody's
be-
Aaron Donald.
He's a
No,
rookie.
Nobody's
I
Aaron.
know, that's what I was going to say. Like,
Like
you
he's
got
a
to give him
rookie.
time, but I'm excited.
He
about
hasn't
him.
flashed at all to me.
I'm excited.
His
about him.
highlight was the one-on-one
With
you know,
Jurgens.
with
in the-
Jurgens.
in
That was the highlight of his
practice? I don't
preseason.
know.
Other
No,
than
his
that,
highlight was when he pushed 3 guys into the backfield.
And N'Kobe
and
Dean
N'Kobe Dean
finished
slipped.
the-
Yeah,
finished
yeah,
the
that's
play.
what you're going to see.
well,
But what's wrong with that?
Yeah, like,
He
That's
was
what he
your
was. That's what he was drafted
he wa-
here to do.
He was drafted to clog up the middle,
Yes.
like linebackers.
and be a run
that's-
stuffer.
and be a run
Isn't that
stuffer.
isn't that what Cox was drafted to be?
No, Cox was a lot bit more. Than that. That was Washburn too.
What does Cox do now?
This is 10 years from now.
I know, but I'm saying, what's his role?
Hargraves and Jordan Davis, man, that's like I think they're going to be.
I think
studs.
I'm excited. For
Like
Jordan
like
Davis.
I've
think he's fine.
now remember I've said Cox was washed 2 years ago, so I've been already past Cox, but you can't disrespect that man's name.
Nobody's
No,
disrespecting his name.
Yeah, I just think
I'm just
I don't know,
telling
we're
you. I
excited
think
about the
Jordan
potential of
Davis,
Jordan Davis.
I think Jordan Davis is more than a one-trick pony. That's all.
All right, I think we'll take a break now because we got our guest coming up. We'll get heavy into the fantasy. So any of you fantasy fans out there, start putting some questions in the chat there. I don't know on YouTube if anybody's got the feed from YouTube. Nate, if you got an eye on that, if the questions come in, we'll pop them on the screen.
Yep.
But hang through with us. On the other side, we'll have Marcas Grant from NFL Network on with us, talking some fantasy football. You're listening to the Santa Boot First podcast. InsurePhilly.com. We comparison shop all the time. Can I get this cheaper on Amazon? What will the store brand save me? Should I get a second estimate on this remodel? So why not do that for your insurance needs? Better yet, why not have someone comparison shop for you? At InsurePhilly.com, you can get up to 10 quotes in about 10 minutes with top insurance carriers like Progressive, Travelers, Nationwide, Selective, Liberty Mutual, Encompass, Kemper, and Berkshire Hathaway. Owner agent Matt Maloney provides top national carriers with top local service. Just go to InsurePhilly.com to get your quote online or call Matt at 215-300-9590. For all your insurance needs, auto, home, life, business, and Medicare insurance plans, make sure to go to InsurePhilly.com today or call 215-300-9590. Matt Maloney gives you the national carriers you recognize from a local company you can trust. InsurePhilly.com.
Yeah, that's us. I think this the one here.
Turn the beat up.
Turn
it up.
All right. We are back with another episode of the Santa Boot First podcast. Thanks to our sponsor, InsurePhilly.com. For all your insurance needs, give Matt Maloney Agency a call, the MPM Agency.
There he
is,
is.
the
Up
man
to
of
10
the
quotes
hour.
in about 10 minutes. And without further ado, we've got with us from the NFL Network, Marcas Grant. Marcus, how are you?
I'm good. I appreciate the return invitation. It means I didn't vomit on my shoes the first time around.
No, we missed you. It's good to see you again.
You didn't
Thanks
do
for-
like Donovan. Don't worry about it.
It's good to see you again. It is that time of year, and look at you. You're ready to go.
At least
You're
someone's
all-
professional
right?
on
You got
this
the
show.
tie on. All right, we got some fantasy stuff, but I realized last time you were on as a guest, when we have guests in here, we usually do some lightning round questions, some quick ones. Some of them are more local related, but we think some of them we can ask you. Right.
All right.
So this kind of gauges where you fit in the room here.
Okay.
So first question: are you a chicken wing fan?
Yes.
Flats or drums?
I'm gonna go drums.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Marcus. Yeah, Marcus.
There's only one answer, and you picked it.
That was the wrong answer, man. Sorry. All right, you got a chance to redeem yourself here then. Second question is MJ or LeBron?
Oh,
Just easy.
You know, I don't know. I'm gonna go LeBron on this one. But here's the but
Thank you, Marcus.
here's part of this though, right? It's a little bit of self-preservation. My wife actually works for his television production company, so LeBron's helped putting food on my table, so I got a reason.
There's a disclaimer and a caveat with that answer.
I'm not mad at the LeBron pick, though. I'm not mad at you.
It's a knowledgeable, sensible
I'm Mike
pick.
all day. I'm Mike all day. But if LeBron plays for like another 4 or 5 years, it's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? And that's what it looks like.
He's waiting for Bronny to come.
I think Bronny's probably going to go to college for a year.
He's coming up on year 20, right? And he's still balling.
He's
I mean,
it's incredible.
the
Yeah.
Lakers aren't great, but LeBron's still doing his thing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, remember, he came out right after high school. It's not like he
Still.
spent 4 years in college.
Still,
What's that supposed to mean?
20 years.
20 years. It's not like he's 40. He's
all right. We're not.
Yeah, this is not part of the conversation. This is
We're talking football.
Yeah.
This is quick lightning round questions.
All right, go ahead.
All right, the final question. And have you visited the East Coast? Have you been out here in this area, in the Philly area?
I've been to the East Coast. I've never actually been to Philly. It is on my list of places.
Oh, we
got to
get him out here.
Oh, we got yeah.
I was going to ask you about a wonderful local delicacy known as Scrapple. Have you ever heard of Scrapple?
I've heard of Scrapple. I have good friends from Philadelphia. Our own Colleen Wolf here at NFL Network is from Philly. Her and her husband John Gonzalez. They both swear, Gonzo. They both swear by Scrapple, but I have never actually sampled it myself.
Okay.
Send them out. So
We'll have to see what we can do.
Well, you gotta hit us up when you're East Coast Philly way.
Okay.
And, if it's near a Thursday night, there's an open invite for the studio.
All right. I appreciate that.
have a
Yeah.
couple of tricks. All right, so let's get into it. We're here for fantasy talk. Obviously, we're Eagles fans here, and I did see the podcast or listen to the podcast earlier week. It's perfect timing. You just did an NFC East preview on your podcast. But I know I'll let Smitty go first. It was Smitty's birthday the other day, so I know he's got a question related to Eagles and fantasy. So go ahead, Smitty. I know you got a question.
I remember last year we talked and you said you like Jalen Hurts. Are you riding the Hurts hype train this year again?
I am. The problem is every time I'm in a draft, there's somebody who likes him slightly more, and they get to him like just a couple picks ahead of me.
Okay.
But absolutely no. I mean, I've got him right now as a top 5, top 6 fantasy quarterback. I think there is certainly a series of events where you could imagine him finishing as the highest scoring quarterback in all of fantasy football. But I do think he's easily a top 5 quarterback. I think. Look, if he finishes, I'd say outside the top 8 or 9. Then something went wrong either for him and or the Eagles this year.
That tells me you think he's the franchise quarterback.
Well, what's funny about that, and this thing we keep talking about is that we know he's a really good fantasy quarterback. You know, right. I don't know if he's a franchise real life quarterback, but in fantasy, he does all the things we want, right? He's good enough as a passer. He runs exceptionally well. Last year, you could pretty much just pencil him in for 20 fantasy points per game. Yep. There were games where he would get to the fourth quarter and he might have like 8 or 9 fantasy points, and you look up by the end of the night and he still have 20 plus. So for fantasy, we love him. We know he's outstanding. I would say that most of us who watch football, we're still trying to figure out where he falls on the real football scale.
Nice.
Your colleague Adam Rank this morning, I saw he said that Jalen Hurts will rise to the top of the QB rankings this season for fantasy.
Wow.
We'll wait and see.
You guys should take that as the highest praise, because Rank will take any opportunity he can to pretzel himself into making a Bears pick wherever he can, right? So like the fact that he said Jalen Hurts and not twist himself into a Justin Fields logic, you should consider that to be really high praise.
Justin Fields.
Well, the Bears don't have much, it looks like, this year, so.
That sounds like a pretzel knot you don't get out of.
All right, I have a running back question for you. So there's a pack of running backs, call them the forgotten ones, the not so loved anymore. Saquon, Zeke, Kamara, Fournette, maybe even Aaron Jones. If you're sitting there with all these guys looking at you at your pick, are you taking any of them or are you passing on them? I know last year you were a big Javonte Williams fan. It doesn't sound like maybe that high at this point, but with that pack of running backs, are you taking one of them or are you passing?
I love all those guys. The only one in that group that you mentioned that I have questions about is Alvin Kamara. And that's just questions about the Saints in general. They've got a new head coach with Dennis Allen taking over. We're waiting to see which version of Jameis Winston shows up. Michael Thomas is back after an extended absence. They drafted Chris Olave out of Ohio State. There's just so many unknowns about that offense that it sort of worries me about Kamara. But I think Aaron Jones is in a great spot, especially with no more Devontae Adams. I think he gets a few extra targets there. I think Saquon Barkley, all the talk is that as long as he's healthy, they're going to load him up with touches because, really, where else are they going to go with the football in that offense? I think Leonard Fournette, I know everybody talked about him, coming in maybe, a couple of nuggets overweight. Look, the man enjoyed his offseason. So did I. I'm not going to be mad about that. But you're still talking about a guy who's a 3-down running back in a really good offense who's going to get plenty of opportunity. So a lot of those guys, they're coming off the board. Zeke too. I know. I feel like the rumors of Ezekiel Elliott's demise have been greatly exaggerated. I know fantasy football Twitter has already put Tony Pollard in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. Yep. I'm not ready to do that just yet. So I think all those guys are in really good spots. And for a lot of them, Saquon, Jones, Fournette, these guys are available in the second round of a lot of drafts. Ezekiel Elliott's falling into the third, sometimes even the fourth round of drafts, which if that happens, I snap him up in a heartbeat and I thank everybody for the discount.
Zeke went third in my draft this past weekend, which we were all surprised. Third round.
Oh, okay. I was like third overall. I was like,
no.
Third round is about where he's coming off the board in a lot of drafts I've done.
I'm surprised about Saquon a little bit.
Saquon fell to the back end of the second round.
Yeah, just because he hasn't been healthy.
So
No,
Marcus,
he has.
you're,
No,
you're not
he has. No,
considering any of
and I
those
get it.
guys really.
Hold
I'm sorry.
on. Let him speak.
No,
Oh,
I'm saying, no, I
I'm
get it.
sorry.
I get the health thing. I get the health thing with Saquon, right? Like after that rookie year, it's sort of been banged up. I've seen a lot of people sort of talk about the running backs, especially after ACL surgery. It's that second year back, right? It's not the first year back.
Right.
It's that second year back. So this is year 2 after the surgery. And all things considered, I know it feels like Saquon's been in our lives for a while. He's only 25. He's not really that old. So
and he's playing to get paid too. So.
He's playing to get paid. And like I said, he's in an offense that you don't. I mean, do you trust any of their wide receivers? Do you really trust, Galladay or Slayton or Shepard or even Kadarius Toney? No. So I think as long as he's healthy, Saquon gets like 300 touches this year.
Wow.
Yeah, but they're losing offensive linemen too.
Yeah, I mean that is a concern. But what I think it also means is when things start to break down and Daniel Jones panics, I mean maybe he runs or maybe he just throws a short dump off to Saquon, which. If you're in a PPR league, those are cheap points you can take advantage of.
Yeah.
I do have a quick question for you, Marcus. So in my draft that I just had last weekend, I was debating all week. I had the 5th pick. I was debating all week, Kupp or Jefferson. So Kupp went 4. And Eckler fell to 5. So I went with Eckler after I was debating with myself all week, Kupp or Jefferson. And it is a PPR. Did I make a mistake passing up on Jefferson instead of and taking Eckler?
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like when all 3 of those guys, right? I think it's a no-lose situation.
Yeah.
I love Justin Jefferson. I wouldn't be surprised if you see him as the first wide receiver in a lot of drafts. I was in a draft a couple nights ago where he was the first overall pick, which I don't. It's a little spicy for me, but I don't hate it. So I don't think you're going to regret that. I think Austin Eckler's still in a situation where, he can catch 80 to 90 passes. He's going to get a ton of the carries there. I know that people are trying to make Isaiah Spiller a thing, but all the reports out of camp for the Chargers suggest that Josh Kelly looks like the number 2 running back. And we sort of saw how that movie ends. So I don't really see an obstacle to Austin Eckler not being a workhorse again for a Chargers offense. It's going to be really good. I mean,
high-powered.
It's high powered and they play in a division where you're going to have to score a lot of points to win. When you're playing the Chiefs and the revamped Raiders and the revamped Broncos, you're going to have to score a lot of points to win every week. And that works in your favor.
I like to hear that. That's what I like to hear. Thank you, Marcus. Making me sleep a little better tonight.
Confirming your pick.
I want to stick with the Chargers and ask. So I think who is going to be the MVP of the league. We got him on the front of the table here. I don't think if you can say him at Justin Herbert there. But if there's somebody in the league that could be a league winner for your team, who would it be? And who are you trying to make sure that you draft for most of your teams that could take you to the championship and win it for you?
Let's see. Where am I going? Kyle Pitts is one.
Archbishop Wood's finest.
Kyle Pitts is definitely one. And that's another guy that it's been hard for me to get because everybody loves Kyle Pitts this year, right? He was really good last year. People the haters, right? They always want to point to the fact that he only scored 1 touchdown. And I'm like, I don't care. He got a ton of targets. If you keep targeting a guy like that, he's going to score more touchdowns. In fact, if I remember right, I don't think he scored a touchdown on American soil. If I remember right, his touchdown came in London last year. But I think he has the letters TE next to his name as a position, but really he's a wide receiver there, and he's playing for a Falcons team that's not going to be particularly good. They're going to have to throw the football a lot, and most of those targets are going to go to either him or Drake London, the rookie from USC. If you're drafting Kyle Pitts, chances are you're going to have to spend a 3rd round pick on him. But I'm okay with that because I really do think he's a difference maker this year.
Staying there real quick, you mentioned we know you're a USC guy. What do you think about Drake London this year?
Love him, absolutely.
Or you reach for him?
I reach for him. I think a lot of people. I think right now the ADP I'm seeing for him is like the 10th round, but I'm willing to reach in the 8th round. I love him as a 3rd or 4th wide receiver on my roster because I think it's sort of that intersection of a talented player landing it with a good opportunity. Because, like I said, there's really not a lot there in terms of pass catchers. I mean, it's funny to think not that long ago, this offense had Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. Now they've got neither of them. So, for as much as I love Kyle Pitts, he can't get every target. Some of them got to go somewhere else, and I think a lot of them end up in Drake London's lap.
I thought he got hurt.
No.
He got tweaked. His first preseason game, in fact, the first pass he caught, I think he ran for like 15, 20 yards, tweaked his knee. They say it's not serious, but as soon as that happened, the Falcons were like, okay, that's it. You're done, just as a precaution.
Okay, I haven't followed him, but I thought he got hurt.
So I have another one. So there's always those the fantasy experts, they're always like, wait to take your quarterback. What round on average would you say is a good round to start going for your QB?
I tend to wait until like the 6th round.
Okay.
It used to be once upon a time you were waiting until like the 9th or 10th round. I think those days are mostly gone. If you're really, really aggressive and you want the Josh Allens of the world, you're talking about reaching in the 3rd or 4th round. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, those guys are going 3rd or 4th round. I'm not quite ready to do it there, but I can wait until the 6th. Maybe Jalen Hurts is still there. Joe Burrow is still there, who I love drafting. If I want to wait maybe a round or two later, I can reach for like a Trey Lance in, say, the 8th round, something like that. But I think the days of sitting around and waiting until the 10th round, you can do it, and maybe you can get a Kirk Cousins, you can get a Matthew Stafford. That's fine. They are what I consider, they're oatmeal, right? Like oatmeal is fine. It's hearty. It's hearty. It'll fill you up. But when you go out to breakfast with your friends and family, you're not like, let me get some of that oatmeal, right? Like you're just
that's true. You're getting some scrapple.
If you're
right?
You probably won't like scrapping when you see it.
Don't listen to Nate. It's okay.
Just don't think
It's
about
awesome.
it.
Just an FYI.
Don't listen to Nate.
Hey, look, here's the thing. So I was in Scotland, right? And so I'm like with some friends, we're like, well, we got to get haggis, right? We heard all about haggis. We got to get it. Like, it's gonna be weird. And we got some with like a couple of pints. We're like, this is pretty good. So like, I feel like if I could get, I feel like I can get down with Scrapple.
There you go.
Yeah, if you're adventurous enough for haggis, then you can definitely
Did
get Scrapple.
did you guys see what he just did there? A black man said he went to Ireland.
Scotland.
It was a good time. I'll say this. I had a great time, but I was visiting friends. I have a friend who lives in Ireland. So I went over to see him. I stopped in Barcelona. I stopped in Edinburgh for a couple of days. My tour across Northern Europe there.
That's awesome.
Now we got a question from the crowd here. For wide receiver, who are you taking? Brandon
I
Ayuk
think it's a good question.
or Rashad Bateman?
I'm going to go with Ayuk. Just because I believe in the 49ers passing game a little bit more than I believe in the Ravens passing game. But it's funny because I just wrote a column. It just came out today on NFL.com about players that I think are being drafted too low. And I had both those guys in there because I think they both are going to exceed where people are taking them right now. Bateman obviously gets a big boost with Marquise Brown now in Arizona. And for as much as Ayuk was a disappointment last year, everything in the offseason points to him really turning it around. I mean, he's getting a ton of praise from the coaches, from John Lynch, the general manager. And if you go back and look last year, he and Trey Lance kind of had some things going. I mean, Lance obviously didn't play a ton last season, but when he was on the field, the two guys he really looked to throw the ball to were Deebo Samuel, no surprise, and Brandon Ayuk. So, I mean, you kind of put those two things together, and I think a big year's coming for Ayuk.
Okay, I got plenty of questions, guys.
I do too. I want everyone else.
I'll give it the other opportunities.
There's another one from the crowd.
We already know.
I think we touched on the
They already
Giants'
touched that.
offensive line.
Oh,
a bit.
did you guys?
Yeah,
Oh,
with
my bad.
Saquon.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got one. I'll shoot one. Are you, Marcus? Are you on the hype with the Vikings? So I'm a better. I bet games. I don't do fantasy betting as much because I think it's a crapshoot at this point with so many bots and stuff that people do. But are you? I hear so much buzz about how the Minnesota Vikings can actually win that division. What do you think about the Minnesota Vikings offense?
I think the offense is going to be fire this year, right? I mean, they bring Kevin O'Connell over, and we see what the Rams have been doing the last couple of seasons. You got Justin Jefferson out here sort of taking shots at Cooper Kupp, right? Saying like, oh, now I see why Cooper Kupp is open all the time.
Yeah.
I think offensively this team's going to be really, really good, and the Packers are vulnerable. We have to figure out what is life like now without Devontae Adams. I think defensively, I think the Packers are going to be very good. But offensively, I think there's some question there. So I think the favorite right now is still Green Bay, just because until you beat the champ, they're still the champ. But if there's anybody that can take them down, it's probably the Vikings.
Are you a big stacker? Like, do you like to stack tight ends and quarterbacks and receivers?
I will try to stack. I'll try to stack quarterbacks and wide receivers, and it's tight ends depending on who the tight end is, right? I've been stacking a lot of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow this year. I've tried to stack when I can get Trey Lance. I'll stack him with either Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. In the rare cases when I wait on a quarterback, I've been able to stack Allen Robinson and Matthew Stafford because I think that's going to be a great combination this year. So yeah, I'm not opposed to a good stack.
Now, are you in 15 leagues again, like you were last year? I think it was.
I haven't done the final tally, but I suspect it'll be somewhere around there. It's always the same thing, right? I always say like, hey, I can't be in this league again this year. I'm trying to cut down, and then somebody else comes with an offer that I can't really refuse. And so, like, when the final tally is done, the number never really changes a lot.
God bless you. I think I'm going to be in 4 this year, and I feel overwhelmed. Yeah.
I mean, here's the difference though. Like for me, checking my fantasy lineup at work is not only allowed; it's sort of encouraged. Right?
Yeah,
Like it's part of the gig.
helps.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm sure the paycheck smooths over to the domestic situation at home.
Well, so that part's fine. The hard part at home is that, my wife has started playing fantasy the last few years, and she keeps saying, like, how is it that I'm married to the NFL's fantasy guy and I've never won my league? So that is the part that's the part that's hard.
Wow. See, I thought you were going to go the other way. I have a son he'll be 13 in a few weeks and just started playing. And he's won the championship 3 out of the last 4 years. And I haven't fared so well, so I have to deal with that in the household every time this time of season. About
well, my son's 3, so he's a little ways away from getting into the fantasy stuff yet. But I'm sure if I'm still doing this when he gets of age to play, yeah, I'm going to hear about it from him too.
There you go.
I hear pre-K's up for some fantasy football.
It's funny. My stepmom teaches 5th grade, and a couple of years ago she had this was during the pandemic, so I'm on Zoom with some of her 5th graders, and they want to ask me football questions. And man, these kids, they had me on my toes. I mean, they were peppering me with questions and like asking me about games. I'm like, I don't remember this stuff, but these kids were like firing away about like,
that's awesome.
Remember this game in week 3 of? I'm like, no, not really, but let's go anyway.
That's awesome.
It's the Madden and the YouTube generation.
Hey, Marcus, when I was in 4th grade, I had a classmate that used to bring in betting slips every week.
4th grade?
Yes, 4th grade.
That's a little much.
From the book, and they were the bookie betting slips.
Are you serious? Back in those days, they were running numbers, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right, I have, and this is a common question I'm sure you get, but we'll put it out there. Any sleepers, any deep sleepers? I feel like the term is overused at this point because if you're any type of fantasy football fan, there's no such thing as a sleeper anymore. But do you have any names out there for us that might be going into drafts this weekend to keep an eye on?
Yeah, a couple. I'll give you a couple. One, I've been a big fan of Dameon Pierce, the rookie running back for the Houston Texans. I liked him originally just because I felt like there was no real obstacle to him getting a lot of touches there in Houston. And then it's turned out that he's been the best running back in Texans camp. So I really like him. And another guy who he's been a late round pick, but that's starting to change, is Romeo Doubs, another rookie, the wide receiver from Nevada who's with the Packers now. Like I said, there are targets up for grabs with Devontae Adams gone and Marquez Valdez-Scantling gone. I'll say this. Daniel Jeremiah, our scout here, our draft guru here, he said after the draft, he said, just keep an eye out. He said Romeo Doubs is a guy that Aaron Rodgers may fall in love with. And look, if it's good enough for DJ, it's certainly good enough for me. And I love trying to draft him in the double-digit rounds. But what sucks is that every couple of days, the Packers will tweet like another video of Romeo Doubs making like a leaping catch or something like that. And then it gets harder to draft him like in round 12.
Yeah, the sleepers don't exist anymore. They just,
right.
The last report I saw was that him and Rodgers had like a one-on-one like talk like
they're having lunch together, right?
yeah,
Which,
they're having lunch
you
together.
know, last year the big thing was Cooper Kupp was bringing Matthew Stafford breakfast, right? And that was the thing. So now we're all tuned in. We're like, well, wait, Dobbs is bringing Rodgers lunch. Like, hey, let's move him up our draft boards now.
He's a sleeper for rookie of the year too. By
Could
the
be,
way.
he really could be.
I like that bet.
A guy I like that I liked for the Eagles during the draft, if they didn't go the direction they went, and you coined him it was like if Jerry Rice and Randy Moss had a baby. George Pickens, the receiver for Pittsburgh. Now he's got quarterback questions there, right? But is that still a guy that you're keeping an eye on?
He definitely is. He's a late round guy as well. The quarterback questions are the thing that sort of make us a little bit leery. You know, I would suspect that Mitch Trubisky starts as the quarterback in week 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kenny Pickett takes over that job before too long. I'll say this. I have learned in recent years that if the Steelers draft a wide receiver, you best pay attention to him, right? They have been really, really good at drafting that position over the last few years. So Pickens is a guy who, you know, there were other outside concerns, and that's the reason he fell in drafts. Otherwise, he might have been the first wide receiver off the board. So the highlights he's put out so far in preseason have been amazing. You know, I laughed at that. I mean, that was a whole like, hey, name your overreaction from the first weekend of the preseason. And I was like, yeah, it's like if Jerry Rice and Randy Moss had a baby. But real talk, I mean, I think there's a real path for George Pickens, maybe to even, you know, challenge Chase Claypool for a lot of those targets there in Pittsburgh.
Hey, Marcus, I have a non-fantasy related question, but it is football.
Okay.
Training camps.
Oh, jeez. I already know where he's going.
Have you watched Hard Knocks with the Detroit Lions at all?
I have.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Are you a Detroit Lions training camp fan, or are you a Camp Cupcake Eagles training camp fan? I'll give you a third option, or are you somewhere in between?
I am probably somewhere in between. I get what Dan Campbell is doing, right? I mean, you are trying to build a culture and you're trying to really, you know, turn things around, right? I mean, the Lions have been a punchline for a really long time, you know, and, you know, I don't know how many of you guys, if you guys watched South Park, but I know that there was an episode of PC Principal, right? And that was like kind of Dan Campbell with the dark shades and like really being aggressive and that kind of thing. So I get what he's doing. And I don't know if it works to go completely the other direction and like, you know, never put on the pads and never hit. I think there's got to be a happy medium in there because, you know, the best way to get better at football is to play football. But at the same time, you know, you don't want to risk a lot of these guys knowing that, you know, you got to go to battle for 17 weeks, you know, coming up really soon.
Okay. That's an acceptable answer, but I tend to lean towards a Lions camp.
You say Camp Cupcake.
Yeah, what do you mean?
But
a 58-minute practice.
That was the first practice of training camp.
Yeah, the first practice was 58 minutes, no hitting, and Deke was over here having a fit because the Eagles didn't hit.
And I'm not sure if you know, but I'm by far the oldest of the group.
By watching the video.
Yeah, I'm old school, and I like the two-a-days. I like the hitting. I like the gassers. I like all that. Get ready for football by playing football.
There was, again, kind of this is an Eagles question, but there was a lot of talk that they were saying, like, you know, A.J. Brown obviously got the big trade, big contract, but some people are saying around here that they think Devontae Smith could have a better season. Like, where do you rank Devontae Smith in terms of, like, targets? And, like, are you buying the Devontae Smith hype over somebody like A.J. Brown?
I mean, I'm not. This is the first I'm hearing of that. No, I don't know that. And I like Devontae Smith. I mean, he was the guy I thought last year. I thought he was going to be the top rookie wide receiver. I mean, but also then again, this time last year, you know, Jamar Chase was like blind in one eye and had skillets for hands, right? Yeah. So, you know, it didn't quite work out that way. But I don't think you trade for a guy like AJ Brown and not make him the centerpiece of your passing game. I did see though earlier tonight, I guess Devontae Smith has been eating and bulking up in the offseason.
Yeah, hoagies.
Which, you know, like he and I are the same. I also have been eating and bulking up, air quotes there, in the offseason. So, but no, I think it's still AJ Brown as the wide receiver one or the number one target there. My concern is for fantasy at least, are there enough targets to go around? If you know AJ Brown's going to eat, the rest gets split up between Smith and Goddard. Is there going to be enough for those guys to be consistently productive, or is it going to be one of those things where we're kind of spinning a roulette wheel on a week-to-week basis to see who's going to be the secondary guy?
Yeah. To give you a plug, listen to the podcast.
Appreciate it.
You're right. You go into that, and you got to think of Goddard being there too.
That's what
right?
I was saying. Like,
so
Goddard,
there's a lot of mouths to feed.
I'm curious about Goddard because this is really
he should be open.
His first full season being the number one. Like they had Ertz to start, so I'm curious to see like where he is. But I love the fact I agree 100% with you with the Kyle Pitts. Like I would have loved for him to fall to the Eagles that year to draft at 6 because I literally think there's nothing he can't do. Like he's a tight end in a wide tight end or wide receiver and a tight end in one.
Yeah. I mean, he is. It's funny when I watched his college tape at Florida, right? The first thing I thought of was like, he's kind of Julio Jones-ish, right? I mean, he's like a huge, just athletic freak. And like, I would watch, these games to get with him in college. And it's like, first time I would laugh and they would try to put like a linebacker or a safety on him. I'm like, that's not fair. But then they try to put a corner on him who just doesn't match up height-wise. I'm like, if I'm a defensive back at like Mississippi State, like I'm screaming at my coaches, like, what are you doing to me? You're making me line up against this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we let you go, I got a couple more non-football related questions for you.
Okay.
All right, because we know you're more than just a pretty fantasy football face, right? She-Hulk. Thoughts? You digging it?
I am, I just because it's different, right? I've sort of enjoyed them digging into some of the lesser known characters here. I will say that to my core, I will always be a Spider-Man guy, but I've enjoyed them kind of branching out. I mean, like I loved Moon Knight. So I've enjoyed them kind of digging into some of the deeper characters in the Marvel canon.
And then the other one is Rings of Power or House of the Dragon.
I'm gonna go. I'm House of the Dragon. I was never a huge Lord of the Rings guy. Like I saw the movies and stuff, but I was never like a huge Lord of the Rings guy. And I'm just hoping that House of the Dragon erased that nasty taste from the final season.
I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I'm with you there. The first episode was good.
Good. No, I think they're off to a good start. So I'm curious to see where it goes from here.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for some time tonight. For those of you, you can find Marcus on NFL Fantasy Live every night on the NFL Network at 6, except for Thursdays, right?
Yep, except Thursday, we're at 5. We're 5 Eastern on Thursdays. Yep.
Okay, 5 on Thursday. All right. And then the podcast, NFL Football, Fantasy Football Podcast. Anywhere else we can find you, Marcus?
That's pretty much that's the bulk of it there. By the way, I would say like you guys sent me a T-shirt last year. I love it. I wear it all the time.
Awesome.
It's my favorite. And it is a conversation start. It's a conversation starter when I wear it out, especially in Los Angeles. Like nobody knows what it is. So that's cool.
Has Colleen seen it?
You know what? I don't know. I should let her and Gonzo know. I should totally show her and Gonzo the next time I'm hanging out with them.
You guys got to send more shirts out.
We'll get them a couple shirts too.
Absolutely. I'll let them know.
Hey,
that's awesome.
Thanks, Marcus.
If you don't know the story, just look it up on Wikipedia.
There it is.
Google it, whatever. You'll see it.
Everybody knows
If
the
they're from
story.
Philly,
Well, he's younger.
I feel like, I know the story, but I also feel like, you guys have to let me know this, right? Is it just about, Santa Boot first? I feel like there's a little Han Solo in there too, right? Like the whole like Han shot first thing. maybe that's me being too much of a nerd, right? And like diving into the Star Wars universe too.
I mean, Santa, I think Santa kind of brought it on himself. Maybe not the kid that portrayed Santa that day.
Santa definitely brought it on.
He did not live up to character.
He did not live up to character. He was slightly intoxicated.
Yeah, he's half shot in the ass.
So yeah, Santa got booed, but this is the name of the podcast. Obviously, plays off of all that because it never fails when the Eagles are on primetime TV. It has to come.
It gets mentioned at least once.
It's like 50 years ago now, right? Like I think we can all let it go.
Yeah,
we
1968.
We can't. We named our podcast after.
I'm the only one present that was alive.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I was only 4, but I was alive for it.
All right, Marcus, we really appreciate the time again. Good luck with all your leagues this year.
Thanks.
Maybe you win half of them. That'd be good, right?
That'd be amazing if that happened.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you, Marcus.
All right, guys. It was good.
I
fantasy.
enjoy having
always
him
a good
on.
guest.
Yes, he's a lot of fun. Good dude, and Knows what he's talking about.
He's really good. I mean, you get a lot of fantasy guys that give you the more or less obvious pointers about fantasy, and I'm not just trying to say this because he's a guest of our show and a friend of the show. Like
he was just on.
Yeah, like I actually genuinely enjoy listening to him talk fantasy. I think he's really, really good.
Yeah,
and he gives you a lot of insights and details that you probably wouldn't hear anywhere else.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy, and you can talk about things other than fantasy football with him.
Yeah,
and he's comfortable talking about them. You don't have to carry the conversation with him. He's good stuff. Definitely.
Some fantasy folks seem to be a little pompous. I don't get that feel from Marcus.
No, not
at all.
I would love to have him in studio.
Yeah, he sounds like he'd be great.
Yeah.
You gonna fly him out?
No, well, I said next time you're a Philly way.
I was thinking that too. Jim. You were like, yeah, we'll bring you out here. I was like,
He's
okay.
like, I'm coming to Philly. Where are you, Willow Grove?
You
Where
can
the hell
bankroll
is
that. Nate can bankroll that.
I mean, 4 of us live in Philly. The other 2, no, Nate's Drexel Hill, but yeah, we're all in Philly though.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah, but I'm saying he's gonna fly into Philly and go, where's Willow Grove?
It's only 15 minutes. It's right up the road.
I'll pick him up at the airport.
I'll pick him up too.
Oh God, he won't be done with you.
Yeah, right.
Your history lessons. Let me out of here.
Yeah, right.
I'll get an Uber.
And we'll have DJ and Andrew sleep in the same room. He can sleep in the other room.
Jeez, now we're going too far. Getting too far.
Yeah, we didn't say you were sleeping over. We're inviting him into the studio.
Now you're talking about sleeping with our guests.
It's a nice offer. It's a nice offer.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
I'm sure he's married.
He does work for the NFL, so
Yeah, he's probably.
they could probably put him
He can
up.
afford a hotel room in Philly then?
Yeah.
Well, he might not be, but the NFL might put him up nice.
But do you remember? I don't know if you recall last year, Nate, when he was on, we started asking about gambling, and he was like, "Well,
oh yeah,
I am an employee of the
that's
NFL,
right,
so
yeah.
if Roger Goodell happens to be listening, I do not gamble."
Yeah, right.
I
remember that.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
Always
that was
good
good.
to have him on.
Always good. All right, and who's got drafts this weekend? I got 2 this week.
I got 1 Saturday.
Not yet.
Nothing yet.
None.
I'm surprised they're starting early. They usually wait till the end.
I think
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
more or
I have-
less that people can't wait anymore. Like we just get
I
so
have-
excited.
I have one
Yeah,
the
you
night
already
before
have
the
one,
first
right?
game. When's the family one going to be?
The Labor Day.
Well, oh yeah, the Labor Day,
Is
which
it
is
live, like in person?
Nah, we're doing
I
online.
mean, it's the last. It's usually you want to get at least through all the preseason
Right,
games, right? So
yeah.
they
Yeah.
kind of end this
Like-
weekend.
Because, for example, last year we had our draft on the 3rd preseason game. That I think it was it was the last week of the preseason because it was the Labor Day weekend, so we did it on Sunday. And one of the guys drafted J.K. Dobbins, and it was during the game he tore his ACL, and we're like, oh shoot.
Not too bad.
So it's one of the reasons why you kind of wait, but
Yeah.
yeah.
it's
All right.
hard to get everyone together.
It is.
You
It
know?
is. That's the
It is.
challenge of it.
Yeah.
But now you can do it all online,
Exactly.
which is 90% of the fun of the fantasy leagues is drafting in person. And
Yes.
It's honestly a
Oh.
top 5 day for me.
It is. Oh,
I
it's-
love
It's
fantasy.
like Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
awesome.
Christmas Eve.
the
I love
first
it.
Yeah.
the first league I was ever in, and we started in, I think we started in 95. And if we used the newspaper for the stats.
Yep.
We we had to fax our rosters to the commissioner, and he worked at Graduate Hospital.
Jeez.
And we had to let him know. We had to call him or email him or something. We had to let him know somehow before we sent our roster over, because if his boss saw all these rosters coming in on the fax machine while he was at work, the boss wouldn't have been happy. So that he would be able to head them off and grab them before his boss saw them. We had to let him know ahead of time. We had to have them in by 5:00 on Friday. And we would look at the stats on Monday morning for all the scores, and we had to wait till
You had to wait-
Tuesday to
now
get
you
the
had to wait
final.
till Wednesday
Yeah,
sometimes.
we had to
get
wait
the,
till Tuesday or Wednesday to get the final score for each game. It was pretty cool the way we used to do it. And then our draft party was over the top crazy. We
dancing ladies and
yeah we were
We
down.
had Capri Suns.
Yeah, right.
We were
We
down.
had the Capri Suns.
We were down in Sweetsford, New Jersey, and most of us would end up spending the night there because we just were too.
Oh man,
banged up to
we're
make
gonna
it
be
back
the
to
highest.
Philly.
We're gonna be the highest rated podcast in
Yeah, right.
Sweetsford.
Do you guys get sticker ladies?
no.
You
Actually,
have 'em?
in our
No.
here's what we
no.
do in our draft.
We toyed with it though.
Whoever finishes last is required to wear a dress
Oh, I-
That's be sticker
Dude,
bitch.
and do the board.
Yeah,
Dude, I saw that as I was coming on
That's got-
Saturday afternoon.
that's a good.
Artifacts. Dude
what
had
a-
a pink dress on, and I'm like, what is going on?
What are the worst fantasy punishments? And does any of your leagues actually dish them out?
Well, that our league we do the
Dress.
the dress. You have to wear the dress, and there's been arguments over the dress some seasons. Like one guy just wore like an extra big T-shirt. We're like, that's not a dress. Some guys go all out and get like a prom dress. And
Wow.
and
Jesus.
the former commissioner actually
You
he's
might
called
wanna-
he's
you
called
might
into
wanna
our show
ask
in the
them
past.
and like question them about what's up with that.
Is a large guy, and he had a dress on the one season. So yeah, that's
Have
our
you had
punishment.
to do it yet?
I'm always in.
I hope we get it this
my
year
average
soon.
my average position in that league is third.
Oh wow,
Over
Sounds
we're
like a
going,
terrible
we're going
league.
into like 18, 19 years or something.
wow.
Yeah.
So you're pretty good in
I'm
that
pretty
league.
I'm pretty good.
Sounds-
Where's
In
Flynn
that
usually
league.
land?
Flan's probably
Is he?
Flan hasn't had to wear the dress yet,
Okay.
but he's been close. He's been
Well,
close.
the day that one of you do, you gotta get a
The-
picture.
The one guy that is in the league that's out in California, we were like, well, there's no proof. You're not here to
Oh,
do the
yeah.
board. So we made him go outside and take a picture in the dress and send it to the league.
Yeah,
Did
you
like
gotta have
a-
proof.
Like out front of his house or like out in public
We
somewhere?
don't know where he was. He was
Oh,
outside.
yeah,
so
yeah.
that's all.
Make him go to the local mall.
Tell him to
Yeah.
go to his
Picture at
corner of the
mall.
street for like a picture or something. That would be better.
It's really not that embarrassing nowadays.
A fantasy
That's-
punishment like that?
Wearing a dress in
Wearing a
public. I think
dress.
it-
Well, I,
yeah.
I guess nowadays it isn't,
It's
but
more acceptable.
That's why I said
nowadays.
nowadays. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
as embarrassing.
but our one league we so we finally came up with a punishment last year, and we all said 24 hours at a waffle like IHOP,
And have to eat the whole time.
and and every pancake or waffle takes an hour off.
Wait,
I've seen those,
They
yeah.
sit there for what?
24 hours.
That's dumb.
So last year was the first year we did
Don't
it. Dude,
finish last.
Don't finish last a fantasy, dude. God.
That's still dumb.
No.
punishment.
So last year we had that, but the guy didn't want to do it. So
And you make them pay. is what you do.
no. What he did was he got a
Yeah.
tattoo.
I was gonna say that's
He
another.
got a
I've seen.
tattoo. Now we gave him credit for this one
Wait,
because he got a tattoo.
Was it his first tattoo?
Yes,
Okay.
and he got it on his upper thigh, I think it was. And it so
Of all places to pick for your first one.
so it's like
Jeez,
it's
DJ designed it.
Nah.
On his upper thigh.
no. He actually sent in designs to us for us to pick. He was good about it. He was really good about it. So he got a cupcake, and it's like a symbol around the cupcake, and it's I think it's last place 2021 or something like that.
Who?
Yeah.
Do
You
I
don't
know?
know. His name Bill.
Is it the Cupcake League?
Yeah. So it's the cupcake. It's a cupcake.
Yeah,
It's our
okay.
symbol of our league,
No.
and it's like last place 2021.
I don't
or
mind
something.
tattoos, but I
I ain't getting a
would've done
tattoo.
the
I'll go
Waffle
sit at the
House.
Pancake House.
Yeah,
But
I know.
I don't know if you've seen videos of that surfaced with people getting like seriously hurt doing that. Like,
at the pancake
Eating
house.
pancakes?
no, yeah, like heart congestion
really?
and like to the hospital.
Oh wow.
So that's why he got scared a little bit, and he's like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'll get a tattoo if you guys are okay with that. And we're like, all right. So, I mean, 24 pancakes in one sitting, that's a lot of
Yeah.
pancakes.
Yeah. All right, real quick. MVP, fantasy MVP. Who
Oh,
you got?
I don't know. That's tough. I mean, there's a lot of choices.
I'm sticking with my boy Justin Herbert.
Herbert's
He's
a good
fantasy
one.
MVP.
I'll go.
Always a quarterback.
Yeah, but
or
but-
a really good running back. Derrick
yeah,
Henry.
because you can get Cup. Like Cup was probably your fantasy wide
He was a
receiver,
top
fantasy MVP last year.
I bet you he wasn't the top scorer though.
He might have been.
It depending on the league. If it's a PPR league, I think in
Are we
our league
doing
he was
PPR
top
league?
5.
Are we doing PPR league?
Yeah, we'll go PPR.
Go PPR.
Everyone, I think, does PPR, right? No,
No,
my league Saturday we do half PPR, not a full point.
This is
Oh,
my
half a
first.
point.
This is my first year for dual quarterback. We'll see how it goes. Joe White thinks Josh Allen is going to be the
That's a good.
fantasy
That's a
MVP.
good. That's a good one.
You got it.
Mm.
Got one.
Joe Barrow.
I'm going to go
Yeah, I was
obvious.
thinking
Burrow's
Allen.
not a bad one.
I'm going to go Mahomes.
Mahomes.
That's not obvious. I mean,
Actually,
that's,
Cooper Cup did wrap. He led PPR fantasy,
yeah, he was nuts.
439 points.
I was gonna go Burrow or Allen, but now I got to change it up. So
Hurts.
Telling you.
No.
Hurts.
Adam Wright this morning was big on her.
Yo, you just heard Marcus.
He's
Yeah,
a big.
but
He's riding the Hurts train.
Sure is. He might be the engineer on the
I'm
Hurts
gonna
train.
go Jim's nemesis.
Aaron Rodgers.
Wow, he's been throwing to.
He's got nothing there.
Romeo, what is it? Romeo
Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Everybody said that before. Remember, it took 4 years for the dude that's in
Adams?
to even play. Rodgers is a good quarterback.
But before that, he had other receivers.
Cobb, he made too.
Jordy
Nelson. What a stud.
Yeah, I think Rodgers.
He was a stud
Yeah.
for a number of years.
Or you can never not bet TB12.
Fantasy MVP though.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
He's 39 now.
Gronk is out 39. How about 45?
He's not 45.
Yes, he is.
Oh, I'm thinking Jason Peters
He
because
might be-
we were talking about him.
Is he
Yeah,
45 or
he's
44?
44. He's 44.
44, yeah.
Sleeper could be Russell
44.
Wilson.
He
I
just
know you
turned
guys
44.
aren't feeling it. Russell Wilson. I like
Nah, I'm not buying in on the
And
Broncos.
Gronk is gone.
Yeah,
I'm
but he still has
surprised-
Mike Evans and
Who's
Chris
the one,
Godwin
Who's the one that picked the Raiders last week, or was that AB?
to win that division.
Yeah,
That was a
I
big.
was just saying he's probably right.
I'm not.
Jared Carr.
I'm
They're
not.
finishing
I'm not buying in on the
third,
Broncos.
Third or fourth for the Raiders in the division.
I think you fantasy MVP. I mean, I don't want to agree with any. Like, I hate to agree. I like being on the island, but I think Herbert's gonna have a big year.
Timeout. He just turned 45 on August 3rd.
Okay, there
great.
you go.
Maybe that's where he was celebrating his birthday.
I got top quarterback. I got Herbert. Top running back. It's going to be a toss up between Taylor and Henry. Top
You know
top receivers. JJ.
Not buying in the CMC.
Yeah.
I'm going with Kamara.
Top
Not
tight
running
end. is
back.
Kamara
Pitts.
might be suspended.
See, I liked Kamara until I heard what Marcus was saying. I'm like,
Not buying that
shit, I'm
Kamara
backing off
stock.
of Kamara.
Yeah,
All right. Good episode.
of
Any
course.
final. What's the score in the Phillies before we go?
2-0.
2-0. Phils are up.
Yeah.
Let's see if they make it through
The
this weekend.
Schwarber
We'll
hit
come back
another
in
one or
next
just
week.
the first one?
Aaron
Nah, just the
Nolan's
first
got a
one.
one-hitter through 6.
Shut up, Smitty.
And he
That's
just jinxed
fine.
it,
That
so
don't
we
matter.
lost.
It's a
The
one.
Reds.
Good job, knucklehead.
Okay. Hey, Marcus, 4th grade betting.
Yeah, right.
Hey, Marcus.
Back in 1955.
Hey, Marcus, non-football question.
It was not a
You want to
non-football
come
question.
sleep in my house if you come to Willow Grove, Marcus?
Oh my God.
Feel free to take your helmet off and swing it at him.
Yeah, pulling Aaron Donald.
Non-football.
That won't happen.
Yeah,
How
before,
many times did he say non-football question, Marcus?
Once.
I was waiting for you to
Once.
answer. Non-football. You
Once.
on, Marcus?
before you guys get out of here, they said that Donald probably won't be suspended.
What?
Really?
That's
It's because it's Aaron Donald.
No, it's because it's a joint practice.
It's practice. I get
Still,
that.
you can't do that.
He might get suspended.
He swung not
He
one,
might get
both
fined
helmets.
or he might get fined by the team, but it
This
sounds
man
like,
was out for blood.
it sounds like he won't.
You
he
know
will
what they'll
not get
do? They'll say,
suspended.
"Oh, we're suspending him for the last preseason game."
Yeah.
He wasn't
The
going to
fact-
play anyway.
The fact that it was a dual practice was why I would have thought maybe.
And why are you? Why, if you're the
They would've
NFL
suspended him.
scheduling, why are you scheduling the Super Bowl rematch for a preseason joint
Did
practice?
you say they thought it was a good idea?
No, I was exaggerating. Like, oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Like,
not.
no,
It's not.
maybe marketing it is a preseason. You'll get some viewers.
yeah, I don't know. It's not like,
Like,
it's
why
not
would
like
you
they're
have
close
them
to each
joint
other.
practice?
Yeah.
Stupid.
All right. We're gonna shut it down. We good?
Yeah,
We're good.
All right, folks. Anybody else that's drafting this weekend, good luck. Hopefully, Marcus gave you some info that you can use
You know what
this weekend. Like I said, go to NFL.com. You can see he's got like 6, 7, 8 minute clips. He got one on who to avoid this year, who you want this year, who could be league winners, and plus others on NFL Network that do the fantasy stuff. You can get on there, help you out with your league, be a league winner, be prepared. Don't be the guy that walks into the draft and just waits for the team
And
to
it's-
fall to him. I hate that.
And
guy.
it's the first, and if it's like the first couple rounds, set your picks up. Don't wait 10 minutes to be like, oh, shoot, that was my guy. Have 2 and 3 guys ready to go. That drives me nuts.
be prepared.
Seriously.
I'm that guy.
No,
God.
I'll be sure to
I
take
got-
all my allotted time in the family.
Dude, just
draft.
like you should have every pick 2 to 3 guys that you are like eyeing up that round. It's ridiculous when I see guys are like, oh, that was my guy. Then have another one ready. Like, come on, dude.
Please let Smitty speak. I think he's
no.
something.
I'm gonna wait till after.
That's what we
air.
should have
I
asked
got
him.
some-
Fantasy draft etiquette.
I got something good.
Oh my God.
No,
Here we go.
idea for us to spark this show up.
On air or off?
All fair.
No, all right.
All
Well,
right,
yeah,
I was gonna say, I thought we were wrapping this up.
Why are we calling the Philly? Why is the Philly John in our?
What?
Why do you care who's
Philly
joining?
John.
No, in the area. What's
What?
that in the post?
Oh, the pizza. All right, we're gonna shut it down.
What? Are
Right?
you drunk?
No,
I
How
can't.
many cherries have you had, Smitty?
0.
I was gonna say real quick. I'm glad. I know that we didn't really ask or anything, but Marcus didn't mention any Cowboys really, or Giants, or Commanders.
Except
I-
I know.
Except Saquon, he talked about a little
AB
bit.
would have
but
been like, "Is my boy Carson gonna have a big year?"
He didn't mention any of them. You know, Dotson a little bit, but
He listened to his NFC East preview.
Yeah.
He did. What did he say? He's not reaching for too many Eagles. AJ Brown will be the first one he picks. Washington backfield's a mess. Carson isn't much of an upgrade. Saquon's getting drafted about right about the right position.
CD, nothing on
Um,
CD Lamb.
He still believes in Zeke. He's off at Gallup. CD could be great.
Okay, nothing on Dak. Dakota.
No,
Really? Dakota's like a top 10.
not that I
fan.
pulled out of the podcast. that I
All
listened to, but go give it a listen. All right, folks. Thanks for hanging out with us again on another Thursday night. We hope you enjoyed a little fantasy football talk. We are getting ever closer to real football.
Mm-hmm.
There's
Hang
college
around.
football this
Not
weekend.
cupcake practice.
Can
We-
almost taste it.
College football
And
this
we will-
week.
Shove a cupcake up your nose. How about that?
We will make sure to start the new season that we will be excellent. We will be better. We will do better. Get excited. This is going to be a fun season, I feel.
High expectations. there.
Roll Birds.
High expectations.
Roll Birds.
Fifth season. Let's get fired up.
Roll Birds?
Yeah, we got like
Roll
5
Birds.
Alabama guys on the team.
No.
Uh,
Go Birds.
we-
Don't ever mix the two together.
We did it last year.
Hey,
No.
can you give us the
No.
history of Go,
Go
Birds?
Birds.
Well, one guy was,
All right.
he was stolen the vet, and he sings touching himself. Go Birds!
We'll see y'all next week. You're listening. Thanks for tuning into the Sand and Boot First podcast. Be excellent to each other.
Shithead.
Cut the mics.
What?